the federal states of Northern America, a nation forged in the fires of revolution, built upon the ideals of liberty and justice, and marked by its relentless pursuit of progress. From the earliest settlements along the eastern seaboard to the sprawling metropolises of today, the history of the federal states is a tapestry of triumphs and trials, of visionary leaders and everyday citizens. This video essay will take you on a journey through the pivotal moments that shaped this nation. We'll explore the birth of American democracy, the struggles and sacrifices that defined its character, and the innovations that propelled it onto the world stage. From the courageous acts of its founding fathers to the profound movements for civil rights and equality, every chapter of Northern American history tells a story of resilience and reinvention. Join us as we delve into the rich and complex history of the federal states, uncovering the events and figures that have influenced its path. This is not just a chronicle of dates and facts, but a reflection on how the past continues to echo in the present, shaping the future of this ever-evolving nation. Welcome to our journey through time. Welcome to the history of the federal states of Northern America. Our pilgrimage through time starts December 21, 1851, when President Nicholas Trist of the United States forms the FSMA, at the end of his term. It is on this day that Nicholas Trist announces the presidency and replaces it with the chairman position. This was in order to limit the power one person could hold over the people. On February 18, 1852, the first FSMA nomination election was held in order to narrow down candidates for the chairman position. The nominees were as follows: Franklin Pierce, a dark horse nominee of the Democratic Party; Winfield Scott, of the Whig Party; John P. Hale, of the Free Soil Party; Millard Fillmore, of the Whig Party; John Brown, as an independent nominee. By February 20, voting ceased, and Franklin Pierce and Millard Fillmore emerged as primary candidates for the chairman position. On November 2, with Millard Fillmore defeated Democrat Franklin Pierce in the first FSMA chairman election, with William A. Graham as vice chairman. The first FSMA chairman election seemed to be a huge success, and the people of Northern America received the change well. However, there was no time to celebrate for first FSMA chairman Millard Fillmore, because after his official inauguration on January 20, 1853, Fillmore was nowhere to be found. This was only a minor hiccup for FSMA officials, who on February 20 inaugurated the vice chairman into the position. Graham's chairmanship wasn't eventful, aside from the several laws passed, most notable of which extended the length one could hold the chairman position for. Also during his chairmanship were several small-scale wars that FSMA officials quickly silenced. On February 20, 1860, Graham's chairmanship ended, and on March 3, after the nomination election, the primary chairman candidates emerged: James Buchanan, of the Democratic Party; Abraham Lincoln, of the National Union Party. With absolutely no support from the South, Abraham Lincoln managed to pull ahead in the election, to claim the third FSMA chairman seat. It wasn't known at the time, but Lincoln would usher in a new age for the FSMA. On June 13, 1860, Lincoln would lay claim to the gold mines in California, allowing the FSMA to essentially control the economy. Before Chairman Lincoln was in office, the FSMA paid no attention to slavery as it had no effect on the company itself, but Lincoln was adamant on putting an end to it. Starting on January 9, 1861, and continuing until February 13, several states seceded from the FSMA. This was considered treason, and Chairman Lincoln would declare war on what would come to be known as the Federation Commonwealth. This war would rage on for 4 years, until ultimately Lincoln and FSMA officials would systematically destroy the Federation's economy. Now, with no one to oppose him, Chairman Lincoln would ratify the Anti-Slavery Act on June 10, 1865. The last 2 years of Lincoln's chairmanship would be peaceful, until it ultimately ended March 20, 1867. Then, on April 13, 1867, after beating other primary candidate Andrew Johnson of the Democratic Party, Schuyler Colfax of the Republican Party would assume the chairman position, with his official inauguration on May 4. Chairman Colfax's time in office was peaceful. During his time, laws would be passed allowing for women and African Americans to vote. Throughout his chairmanship, Colfax would establish several subsidiaries of the FSMA, most notable of which include the FSMA Board of Education, the Financial Board of the FSMA, the FSMA Department of Justice, the FSMA Board of Energy. Colfax's chairmanship would end on May 4, 1874. Upon the end of his term, the 5th FSMA chairman election would be held a month later on June 4, 1874, with Democrat Thomas A. Hendricks beating Republican Ulysses S. Grant. Hendricks's inauguration would take place June 20 of the same year. Chairman Hendricks's time in office was almost equally as uneventful, and his time would end June 20, 1881. The next chairman would be a familiar face, one Ulysses S. Grant, who would be officially inaugurated July 4, 1881. Grant's chairmanship would end July 4, 1888, where he would die the same day. His successor would be Sylvester Pennoyer, a Democratic governor of Oregon who was inaugurated July 15, 1888, with his term ending July 15, 1895. The 8th chairman would be William J. Bryan, who was inaugurated August 10, 1895. Bryan's chairmanship would be spent abolishing segregation laws, which he would ultimately achieve January 23, 1898 with the Civil Rights Act of 1898. Chairman Bryan's time in office would come to an end August 10, 1902. The next chairman was Theodore Roosevelt, who was inaugurated September 23, 1902. During Roosevelt's chairmanship, he would establish national parks and begin building the Panama Canal, as well as brokering an end to a conflict between Russia and the Japans. On September 23, 1909, Roosevelt's term would end with Frank W. Benson succeeding him, with his inauguration on October 5. The only thing notable to happen during his chairmanship was the dissolving of Standard Oil Company Incorporated into the FSMA, after being ruled as an unreasonable monopoly. Benson's chairmanship would end October 5, 1916. The next chairman would be Charles E. Hughes, who was inaugurated October 23 of 1916. The only striking event to happen during his chairmanship would be the FSMA's hand in the Mexican Revolution, when on March 17, 1917, Revolutionary Pancho Villa leads an army to Columbus, New Mexico, where 12 FSMA soldiers are killed. Hughes' solution to this is to mobilize the full force of the FSMA to decimate the revolutionary forces. Chairman Hughes' time in office would come to an end October 23, 1923. The next chairman would be Walter M. Pierce, and he would serve from his inauguration on November 7, 1923 to the end of his term, November 7, 1930. During his time he would be under heavy scrutiny due to his beliefs in eugenics and his relation to the Ku Klux Klan. His successor was one Franklin D. Roosevelt, governor of New York at the time. He was inaugurated November 30, 1930. During his time he would establish the National Recovery Administration in order to set minimum wage and safe working hours. His term would end November 30, 1937. The next in line for the chairmanship was Charles H. Martin, who served from December 2, 1937 to December 2, 1944. Not much is known about Chairman Martin, as he opted to run the FSMA in solitude from his Illinois home. The 15th chairman was Sam T. Rayburn, who served from January 1, 1945 to January 1, 1952. Around the start of his term there was a surge of music and artistic expression dubbed the Flaming Forties. Due to this, several governors of the federal states were exposed to less than morally positive conditions, leading to Rayburn to go on a massive termination purge. The effects of this are still felt today, with some states sharing governors. Then, on January 20, 1952, Paul A. Diver would be inaugurated into the chairman position. Not much would come to be known about Chairman Diver, as he opted for a secluded chairmanship, spending his 7 years with his children and wife. His term would end January 20, 1959. The next chairman would be Richard D. Nixon, who served quietly from February 3, 1959 to February 3, 1966. After his term, his successor would be Albert B. Chandler, known as Happy, who was inaugurated February 21 of 1966. Chairman Happy was elected at a time of peace, so his chairmanship was relatively smooth sailing, and Happy would be the only chairman in history to serve 2 terms. Happy's term would end February 21, 1980. With Happy's second term ending, the American people would opt for a 3rd term, in which the FSMA would deny and instead place William R. Rockefeller into the position. Rockefeller came from a wealthy family whose involvement with the FSMA dates back to 1910. Rockefeller was inaugurated March 10, 1980, and served until March 10, 1987. Rockefeller would be succeeded by Jeremy Mann, with his inauguration on March 21, 1987. Not much is known about Chairman Mann, His wife has gone on to refer to him as a prophet. He was an avid painter and writer. His term would end March 21, 1994. Now, for the current chairman, John O'Sullivan, who was inaugurated April 3, 1994. He actively resides in office. And with that, our journey through time comes to a close. This video essay has shown how previous generations shaped this great nation, through perseverance, tolerance, and social strain. Time, however, is always expanding. Even as I write this, there are new stories being formed, new people being born who will someday lead this country, and others who will seek to destroy it. I wonder, who of those watching this will choose to make history, and who of those will be forgotten by time? I hope to one day be telling your stories. Live every day like it's your last. Time is a fragile thing that we can't begin to grasp. Only in death may we hope to comprehend, for this life we have been given is a godsend. This has been the history of the federal states of Northern America. I hope to see you all again one day.